is Saturday morning, September the 14th, and you are doing lines on the Let's Not Do This podcast. You got the Big O sitting alongside Scotty 2 Hottie, our fair-weathered, fat, dumb friend Chris Green is on assignment. I know pot called the kettle, but he's not here to defend himself, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. He's on assignment, and by on assignment, I mean he's panhandling right now. Scotty, how are you this morning, sir?
Good. I thought you were going to say gender assignment.
Well, you know what? I was going to make a political joke. We are 44 seconds into the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and pull a Kaepernick on that one.
We don't do that here.
Yes. We do that on my other podcast you can catch on Rumble, Right Thoughts with Leon. I kid.
It would be on Rumble for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. All right. So, by the way, I am looking live at my television right now. It's College Game Day. Heads to the Soda City, Cola, as the kids say, Columbia, South Carolina, for the Cox and LSU. Looks like a zoo there in Columbia, and a little bit of a rainy day so far. We'll talk about that game a little bit later on. But Scotty, you ever been to College Game Day?
No. I don't think it came the year I was at Tech.
Okay, I've never been. Obviously, I didn't go to school that was big enough to have anything like that. Though I'm sure the schools I went to would probably get a game day appearance before UVA in football. That being said, I don't know how much I would like that. This is going to sound weird, I like lines, doing lines on Saturday morning, but I don't mind waiting. You know what I mean? Like, I'll wait in line for barbecue, for bourbon, for beer. I don't mind waiting. But I don't know if I want to get there. I saw those crazy sons of bitches in Columbia. I got up at 4:30 this morning, and I saw tweets where whatever the main part of their campus is where they're doing this, and like outside the stadium, whatever, it was full, like just packed to the gills. And that's a very passionate fan base. People don't really talk about a lot, South Carolina. But could you imagine getting there at 4:30 in the morning, and I think it's like a 12:45 kick or something like that this afternoon? Like, you're waiting 8 hours.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. No, I wouldn't drive to go to a game day. If I was a student on campus, that'd be one thing. But yeah. I can't believe you said you don't mind lines. You're the only person I've ever heard say they don't mind waiting. I can't stand waiting in any line. I didn't vote one year because there was a long line.
And what if the guy that you were voting for, local dog catcher, lost by one vote? One vote, and your local dog catcher of choice did not get elected, Scotty. Please vote, people.
He should have been better. He wouldn't have needed my vote.
No, I don't mind lines when it comes to stuff like that. Now, if it's like, something like voting, I mean, it's our civic duty. It will drive me nuts. If it's getting into a stadium or something, I get the security apparatus. That'll drive me nuts a little bit. But if it's something that I'm going to put into my body, luckily you don't have that little sounder there. If it's something that I'm going to put into my body, I don't mind waiting. Good barbecue, good beer, good bourbon. If there's a queue, as our English friends say, then it must be good. I've waited 3 hours once in line for barbecue, and I got the last brisket when I got up there, and it was worth every single bite. So yeah.
Nothing's worth that.
No problem at all with waiting. All right, well, we're not going to wait around any longer. We have Chris's card, and then we'll go through our cards as well. We'll start, as we always do, with college football. And Scotty, since you're actually here in spirit, in physical form, I'll let you go ahead and go first on your college football dance card there. It looks like you went with the very game that's coming up. The college game there's there, LSU and South Carolina.
Yeah, I left my notes somewhere, but that's okay. I don't need them. But yeah, I'm going with LSU -6 on this. I just think they're the much better team. They lost a lot of key guys last year, but they've reloaded. So I think they're just going to keep getting better and better as the year goes on. I think South Carolina, I don't really think they're that good. I think they're going to start becoming more irrelevant than they already are as the years goes on. I know game day is there, but like you were talking before we came on, it is a noon game. I'm sure the fans are still going to be crazy, but that kind of takes away the home field advantage a little bit. I just think LSU has too many athletes. I think they're going to roll.
As we were doing this, game day is on right now, and Pat McAfee has hopped up on the desk, and he's holding Sir Big Spur from South Carolina, which a lot of people could say that's a big cock. Do you know who Sir Big Spur is?
I'm gonna step away for literally 2 seconds, but I'm listening.
Okay, but do you know who Sir Big Spur is?
I don't think so.
Sir Big Spur is the live mascot for South Carolina, and there was a whole controversy a couple years ago over they were replacing the mascot, and there was a whole controversy over. I guess there's something you're supposed to clip on him, but the people didn't want to clip it. But apparently, it's not hurting him. But I'm no, I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not PETA. Don't come after me. But they had it resolved. Sir Big Spur is there in all of his glory. Yeah. That being said. I'm riding with the Cox on this one. On my own personal betting card outside the show, this one did not make my 3 picks, but I did take South Carolina as one of my upsets this week. But I like them plus the points here. You see, it's raining right now there. And the reports are supposed to be pretty rainy a little bit later on. Maybe some storms, maybe a stoppage in the game kind of throws everything off kilter. I tend to think these things favor the home team. And South Carolina may be the biggest enigma in college football. Who the hell are they? We saw them struggle with ODU and just look downright awful. And then they go to Kentucky and they get the win there in pretty dominating fashion over the Wildcats. And that spoiled ESPN's plans because they wanted to do Georgia and Kentucky. That's kind of how they wound up going to Columbia this week after South Carolina ruined the party. So who knows? Like, they're so Jekyll and Hyde, but this is a big year for Shane Beamer. If this was a night game, I like it even more so for those South Carolina fans. But I love the quarterback sellers. They can play good defense at times. I like the Cox to spring an upset. The spring an upset there, but I'll take those 6 points against you there.
Yeah, we know you love to ride the cock.
I saw a sign. You know, all the fraternities put up signs and stuff. And
I'm sure they're crazy. Yeah,
one of them said something like Livy Dunn, because obviously she goes to LSU. Like, Livy Dunn loves our Cox or something like that. I was like, that's just so great. And I saw a news anchor somewhere in like California on social media. She's a Gamecock alum. She was going for a run. And, she had the hat on that said Cox, University of South Carolina, under it. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there right now. If you have a daughter and she goes to South Carolina, you can't let her get that hat. You just can't. You don't want your daughter running around with a hat that says Cox. I don't care if she's 25 and in grad school. You can't do it. Where you at, Dad? Where you at, Mom?
I'm sure there's some worse hats, South Carolina hats out there. I'm sure there's some I love Cox.
Oh,
shirts
I'm sure.
and hats. Yeah.
All the sorority buttons and stuff. Kappa Delta loves the Wolfpack or something. Can you imagine Kappa Delta loves Cox? I mean, it's true. All right, so you got LSU minus 6 points there. Next up, we're staying with a SEC flavor here. You got the Rebels. Ole Miss. The Rebels go marching into Winston-Salem, taking on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Ole Miss laying the 21.5 over under 64.5, 6:30 on the CW. Ladies and gentlemen, check your television guides for the CW at 6:30.
Yeah, you probably have it even if you don't have cable. It just might be a little blurry. But yeah, I'm going with the over 64.5 on this. I know that's a lot of points, but Ole Miss, they're not going to take their foot off the gas if they get a big lead. Jackson Dart is one of the Heisman favorites. Lane Kiffin's going to, I think, do everything he can the entire year to try to get his stats up. And I do think Wake Forest can score enough points to get this over. Wake Forest lost to UVA last week, 31-30. If you give up 31 points to Virginia, Ole Miss is at least putting up 50. Easy. So let's say they put up 51 points. All Wake Forest has to do is put up 14. Yeah, I think Wake Forest will probably put up 14 to 20, somewhere in that range. Ole Miss puts up about 50 on them, and this over hits.
I like you on this one here. I almost said I like you in general, which I don't.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I was going to say like I'm thinking like you, and I like this, and they just came out that I like you. Freudian slip there. All right, so but no, I like this pick for you here, Scotty. I'm actually thinking about comboing this one myself with Ole Miss minus the 21 and the over. As you said, the points they gave up to Virginia, this Ole Miss offense is prolific. Just pinball numbers. They're going to be a factor in the SEC. They're going to be a factor in the playoff race. They could be a factor for the national championship and Jackson Dart as well for the Heisman. That is just video game numbers there. They could, the way that offense scores, they could get the over by themselves, possibly if this game gets out of hand there. And we'll see. We're going to Winston-Salem and exactly a raucous environment. So we'll see how long the Screaming Deacons fans stick around after the Rebs get up. But I think Lane Kiffin and company will lay the smack down there. So I like that for you. But I think I would also combo it with the minus 21.
Yeah, I like that too.
All right, and then next up on your card here, am I reading this right? You have UCF and TCU.
Yes. Did I mess up the graphic?
Nah, no, you're fine. So UCF, TCU minus the 2. The Frogs at home. Was it M&G Carter Stadium? Yes, the Carter. Wow, look at my brain. M&G Carter Stadium at home. They're taking on the Knights of UCF, 62.5 over under 7:30 tonight on Fox. The big boy, the 3-letter network on Fox. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm going UCF +2. I'm kind of cheating because we'll be talking about this later, but we'll get there in a minute. I just think UCF with KJ Jefferson, they're just a much better team. They're going to be one of the 2 or 3 teams that has a real shot at winning the Big 12. I just don't think TCU is that good. I think this line should be flipped really. TCU, they were down with like 7 minutes to Stanford, and Stanford's not really good. So I could say UCF. KJ Jefferson, like I said, is 6th year coming in from Arkansas, just running and passing all over TCU. I think UCF is going to win this game outright, so give me the 2 points.
It's kiss of death for you here because I do like this pick as well. KJ Jefferson, I was big on him at Arkansas, and now coming over to UCF. They are another team that can score and score in bunches. I like what Malzahn's doing with that program there. And with this shaping up of realignment and how everything goes, this could be like a beast of the Big 12. Give them a couple years to get things going. But, I mean, especially with that recruiting base, and they're putting a ton of money into that football program, they're going to be a problem for a while to come. So, yeah, I do like UCF. I actually do like them straight up here, too. So, all right, there, Scotty.
Yeah, well, if your college picks are the kiss of death, then you must be agreeing with every pick I make.
Maybe.
I got screwed again Thursday. Texas State, that was the right side. They just if you're following along, just all my college bets, if any of them are doing well, live bet the other side because it's going to come back. It's going to lose.
Third quarter, just flip the script on Scotty coming at halftime there.
Yeah.
All right, since Chris isn't here in his absentia, I will let you go ahead and go through his stuff here. He also had LSU and South Carolina on his dance card.
So, yeah, he also likes the LSU -6, which is kind of scary for me. And then he has – I know you have one of his games, so I'll go to I almost went with this one, Troy, Iowa, under 39.5. That's just his typical Iowa under. I kind of agree with that just because Iowa's hit 2. Well, depending on when you got it last week, Iowa's hit 2 overs in a row. I think it closed and then they hit the over. So Chris actually had the under week 1 and it hit. But then after our show, it dropped. So closing line, they've hit both overs. I don't see that happening 3 times in a row. Troy will be able to slow him down enough to make this an ugly game, like a 24-10 type game or something.
To me, this has like 31-3 Iowa written all over
Yep.
it. Maybe a defensive score for the Hawkeyes. A little salty too after losing that Cyhawk. They're going to be angry as a hornet's nest. Yeah, they're going to cover and go under here. I would probably combo that actually if I might do that separately here. And then also for Christopher, as I went out of order there, we got the Civil War on his card, which you can't call it the Civil War anymore. Oregon going to Corvallis should be a very already always is a hostile experience for the Ducks, but especially given conference realignment and leaving little brother Oregon State behind. That's going to be a hornet's nest. Oregon minus 17 in Corvallis, taking on the Beavers over under 49.5, 3:30 on Fox.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's on Oregon State with the points, so I don't know. And it even went up from 16.5 to 17, and I know the public has to be on Oregon State and most of the sharps. So the fact that the line's moving still in Oregon's favor, I don't know. Maybe Oregon gets right finally.
Yeah, I mean they've struggled. I mean, albeit they played. I think they played teams that people don't understand how good they are. They beat a good Boise State team who took them to the limit, last week, and then before that, a very tough Idaho team that's FCS. But we saw them also go into Laramie and get a win over Wyoming, albeit the Pokes haven't played like people thought they would so far this year. But still, going to Laramie anytime you can go there and get a win, it's a tough place to go. So I don't know. We really don't know. I feel like that offense isn't flourishing the way a typical Oregon offense does. They've had some issues, punching it in. I think one of the big matchups here, and I actually have this on my card, so I'll just use this to transition into my picks here. I think one of the big things to watch here is that Oregon defense against the Oregon State offense. We saw Oregon give up 192 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns to Ashton Gentry and Boise State last week. So we'll see if the Beavers can come out and run the ball, how that is. I like Oregon State plus 17.5 here. And literally, I think the crowd's going to play a big role into this one here because it's going to be loud. It's always loud. That's always a tough place to play. But especially given everything with conference realignment and leaving them behind, and who knows how they continue this series. This is usually a game that's that last weekend, that Thanksgiving rivalry weekend of the year. They've moved it up this year. Looks like Oregon wants to make Washington their key rival. I think Oregon State has something to prove, and I feel like we just don't know a lot about the Ducks right now. So that 17 seems like a big number. And I'm going to take Oregon State plus that 17.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to bet on this one or not. I might end up taking the Oregon and 17 just because I feel like the numbers should be smaller and Vegas usually knows more than we do. So I don't know.
All right. Then next up on my card, which by the way, I realized I think I'm going with all 3:30 games this afternoon. Apple Cup, another former Pac-12 rivalry here. This one, I put an at in there, but I should have put versus. So, Scotty, this is a neutral site game, okay? They usually do a home and home after Washington splits for the Big Ten. They decide we're going to renew the Apple Cup. This year it's going to be at a neutral site. Do you know where the neutral site is?
No idea.
It's in Seattle. Do you know where the University of Washington is?
I do not.
Seattle.
Oh, it's in Seattle? Okay.
Yes. So they're playing this at Lumen Field, home of the Seattle Seahawks. It's like a 15-minute car ride from Husky Stadium to Lumen Field. And if you're a Cougar fan coming from extreme Eastern Washington, it's like 5 hours on I-90 from Pullman to Lumen Field. So I expect there to be a distinct shade of purple in the crowd there on this essential home game for Washington. The Huskies laying 5.5 points here. Over under is 54.5. Washington still kind of, coming off that college football playoff hangover, I guess you could say. They are, do I say this correctly? They're number 22 right now. Washington is. Did I put that in there?
I don't see where they're ranked.
I don't
on
know where they're
ESPN,
getting it from. I was looking at
they don't have a
USA Today. It might be in USA Today's rankings or maybe whatever power ranking they had because I saw 22 next to it when I was looking at some stuff about this game. I was like, that doesn't make sense because I haven't seen it anywhere. But yeah, it's not on ESPN. So yeah, I don't know what they had there.
maybe they were ranked last week.
Yeah,
They
maybe.
haven't
Who
played
knows?
anybody yet. So
But anyway, so they have them there, and they USA Today actually had the records wrong too because Washington is
well,
2-0. Both teams are 2-0. So, but what do you expect about USA Today?
so yeah,
That
they were
means
probably ranked 22 last week, and then they beat was it Eastern Michigan 30-9. So yeah, they
yeah,
probably fell out because of that.
the mighty Eagles from Ypsilanti there. So Washington State obviously had a big win, 37-10 over Texas Tech a week ago. They were 2.5-point dogs there. And they were kind of outplayed by that team, giving up 301 yards rushing. Excuse me, they did get 301 yards rushing. John Mateer, I want to say is the quarterback, the last name, 197 yards and a TD on the ground. He's got 467 through the air and 6 touchdowns to go along with 252 rushing through 2 games. And they got that freshman running back, Wayshawn Parker, as well, who's added 165 and 2 scores on the ground. Once again, I'm going to go with little brother being pissed off, conference realignment, throw the records out in these rivalry games. I'm going to take Wazoo plus the points here on what is a Fakakta neutral field because it's essentially a goddamn home game for Washington. I'm taking Wazoo plus the 5, maybe a little sprinkle
So
for them.
actually, it's 6 now.
Oh, it's moved to 6 now.
Yeah. So we'll give you 6.
Okay, so I'm taking Wazoo plus the 6 now live, and I'm going to do a little sprinkle on the money line on my own card as well. But for the show, Wazoo plus the 6 now.
All right.
You got any thoughts on that one there?
I guess I would probably take the points. I haven't paid attention to either team really this year. So yeah, I don't really have. I probably will stay away from this one. But if I had to bet it, I'd probably bet Washington State.
Sounds like a plan there.
Oh, there he goes. All right. Well, I guess I will start with my.
No, I'm here.
You're back. All right.
Yeah.
What happened?
When you go to update the graphic, and I'm doing this sans mouse at the moment, so I went to go change that 5.5 to -6 for historical purposes for the graphic there. And when I'm doing it without the mouse, and you have fat fingers, sometimes when you go to right click without a mouse or left click without a mouse, you're using the trackpad, you accidentally right click, and somehow, some way, I clicked and kicked myself out of the podcast there. So I got that going for me.
Good job. Yeah, I was on a different screen, so it took me a second to. I was like, but I don't hear his stupid voice. What's going on?
There we go. But there, now the graphic's been updated. I'm taking Wazoo officially plus a 6 here. And then on my final college football one, I'm going with the 4th rivalry game of the day. Of course, Colorado State also is one. We talked about that a little bit on Thursday's show. We all know that I'm going to take the Rams straight up on that one. But the rivalry game I think I'm most looking forward to is West Virginia at Pitt. Did I get that graphic right? Did I put that wrong? It's Pitt. Pitt's a 2.5-point favorite, isn't it?
No.
Well, it feels
I
like
thought it was at 2. The last I saw, I thought Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're right. 2.5.
Okay. For some odd reason, it feels like Pittsburgh should be the favorite on this one. I had to double check myself 3 times when I was putting that West Virginia graphic in. I'm kind of torn on this one here. I will say, Pitt last week, they were down 27-6. Was like 4 minutes in the third quarter, came back to beat Cincinnati 28-27 on the road. That was Pitt's largest comeback, Scotty, since 1971 when they were down 35-6 and came back and beat Navy 36-35. That's that per EJ Borgatti, who is an executive associate athletic director in the Pitt Communications Department there. So big win coming from behind. A lot of emotion expelled. You're on the road. Now you're coming back home. It's a Pitt home game, but you know it's going to be about 60-40, 50-50 with those Mountaineers coming about 70 miles or so up the interstate there. I think it's hard to overcome that emotion and then get back up again for another game, a big rivalry game again. And after coming off of last week, whenever you see these emotional wins, it's always a little bit of a letdown. I think West Virginia still has something to prove after, getting smacked around by Penn State in a game that took like 18 hours because of the goddamn storms and stuff. I really do like Green, the quarterback there for West Virginia. I like the Mountaineers here, minus the 2.5 points at the place that I'm still going to call Heinz Field.
I don't have a strong feel on this one. Just give me Pitt. They're at home. Rivalry game. I do agree with you. There could be an emotional letdown from that big comeback victory, but on the other hand, maybe that gives them the momentum they need. Maybe they start playing a lot better with more confidence going forward. I don't know. Rivalry game. Give me the home team.
Speaking of rivalry game and home team, do you know what one of Pitt's traditions is?
I do not.
They like to do Sweet Caroline, and they do the ba ba ba. As they do that,
that's not their tradition. Everybody does that now.
They've been doing it for a long time. It's like,
okay,
it's synonymous with the Red Sox, but also Pitt as well. Pitt likes to play that. The Mountaineer fans, they'll be out in full throat there at Acrisure Stadium.
I have seen that.
Yeah, and they like to hit counter with the eat shit Pitt. During that. So that'll be great. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Do they do that when they play at West Virginia too?
Yes, they will do that. The band will try to play it, and the Mountaineer fans will drone it out with the eat shit Pitt. It's always great. And I just want to say thank the heavens that we have the backyard brawl back. Conference realignment's taking some things away, but luckily these two have decided, hey, we hate each other. Let's get together and play. I love it. 75 miles separate these schools. They should play. They should play every year. There's recruits. There's hatred. I just love everything about it. It's one of my favorite rivalries in the country. I love it. You can go ahead and clip this. I get off on rivalries in college football. It's my favorite thing about this sport is the hate. We don't like you. You don't like us. Let's figure it out.
Well, I'm glad I'm not watching a game with you.
I'll have a change of pants ready. All right.
Yeah, so, that is one of the bad things about this. All the realignment is we're losing some rivalry games. So glad they're playing this one still.
Hey, we do get one back though. Texas A&M, they get back this year. We do get one back, so that is great. All right. Yeah. So we went through your college football, right? We went through mine. Yeah. We went through Christopher's. It just feels off not having Tweedledee here. So, yeah. All right. So speaking of Tweedledee, we'll start with his NFL picks, and I will let you run through these here in his absentia. So Browns, Jaguars coming up. Two teams coming off of a loss there in Jacksonville. In Duval County there, Jags laying 3 points over under 41.5 tomorrow, 1:00 on CBS.
Yeah, he's got Jaguars -3 on this one. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a super tight game. I know Deshaun Watson has been terrible and has some more, I don't want to call it drama because that is not the right word, but just some stuff going on in his life. Yeah. But I don't know. I just feel like the Browns are still a good team no matter how bad he is. They're not as bad as they looked last week. I just feel like this game's going to go down to the wire. The Browns could pull off the upset. I don't know. I think I would take the 3 points.
So you take Cleveland laying the 3 points? Jacksonville laying the 3 points?
No, I would take Cleveland.
Okay, Cleveland plus 3. Gotcha.
Chris is taking Jacksonville.
Okay, I'm pretty dumb. All right, so you look at this Jacksonville team. Essentially, they are a Travis Etienne fumble away from beating Miami the week before. And by the way, what's the conversation about Miami, by the way? If Etienne doesn't make that fumble and then they lose to Jacksonville, and then they went out and got curb stomped the way they did against Buffalo, and they lost their quarterback, we'd be talking about Miami a lot different if it wasn't for that gifted fumble.
Can I speak on Miami real quick?
Yeah.
Can we stop asking Mike McDaniel if he thinks Tua, if or when he should come back? That has nothing to do with him. Stop asking him. He keeps telling you he's not a doctor. He's not a doctor. He's not a doctor. This is between Tua and his family and the doctors. Stop asking a coach that looks like me whether Tua should or when he should come back.
It looks like we're being quite favorable to yourself here, aren't we, sir? Which, by the way, I love.
I've been told. Well, when I wear my glasses anywhere, yeah. I've been told a couple times that I look like him.
Maybe in the before picture when Mike McDaniel was like a CarMax manager, but now that he looks like a narco pilot or something.
Oh yeah, if I had NFL money, I'd probably look a lot better too. So.
All right. That being said, I think Cleveland just has. I mean, that offense is so bad with Deshaun pulling the trigger there. And now the allegations, he's never going to be the quarterback that he once was. Cleveland needs to figure out somehow, some way to get out of this contract here. I think Jacksonville's salty after that loss last week. I think they're going to be out to prove something. I like Jacksonville to cover here on this one. And Chris went with Jacksonville minus 3 points as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I feel less good about my thoughts on that, but that's not on my official pick card, so I don't have to worry about it. Next up on Chris's official picks here, he's got the 49ers minus 4.5. No Christian McCaffrey for week 2, and they're possibly thinking about an IR stint. The 49ers minus the 4.5 at the Vikings, over under 46.5, 1 p.m. on CBS at US Bank Stadium, which is a lovely, lovely facility.
Yeah, he's going with the 49ers minus 4.5. And I agree with him. I think I already bet this. Even though this line stinks, it feels like it should be closer to a touchdown. But yeah, really? It's in Minnesota, I guess.
Without Christian McCaffrey, you would move it to closer to a touchdown?
They're fine without Christian McCaffrey. You saw what Jordan Mason did against the Jets.
And then he that he may have told on the team in the injury report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be a big deal. I don't know. That kind of got skipped over. That was because I was watching it live. I was like, oh, no. But
masterful PR job. Yeah. The 49ers going to bury that one.
But yeah, it's their run system. It's just too good. Jordan Mason's going to be fine. But yeah, I guess maybe because it's in Minnesota and Sam Darnold looked okay, at least for the first half. But yeah, I just don't see it. I think the 49ers are going to cover this number.
No Jordan Addison for the Vikings this week either, right? I believe he's been ruled out. So,
right.
Yeah, I kind of like the 49ers to cover this one as well. With that defense, the way they play, that defense travels. I think they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Justin Jefferson to try to take him away. Yeah, I like San Francisco minus the 4.5.
Yeah, that line does stink though.
Next up here, and I will transition to mine after this one because Chris has this also. I have this also on my card. We have Cowboys laying the 6 going to New Orleans, taking on the Saints. Over under is 46.5. Which, by the way, I would like to bring back. I forgot whether it was last Saturday we talked about this or on Thursday, but I made a reference about Hank Hill in an episode of King of the Hill when they went to New Orleans. Hank was at New Orleans and he was trying to throw. For whatever inexplicable reason, they had a Cowboys fan from Texas trying to throw the football through Alamo Beer for like $25,000, whatever it was. And he let Dandy Don Meredith, former Dallas Cowboy, do it. He didn't even take off his jacket, and he threw a limp pass. Why the Saints had a Cowboys quarterback and a Cowboy fan trying to throw a football through a beer can there on that episode, I don't know. The Saints were also, I think, the 8s back then when King of the Hill was on, so who knows? But should be a lot of Cowboy fans there because they're like cockroaches and they're everywhere. That being said, what does Chris think about this one?
He is going with the Cowboys minus 6. I also think I would never put this on my pick for the show because I hate that team. But I think I did bet the Cowboys minus 6 already. But again, this is one of those games where the Cowboys just crushed Cleveland, and now everybody's like, oh, they might be contenders again. And then they come back the next week and just lay an egg. It is in New Orleans. So the Cowboys should cover this number, but it all depends on if the Cowboys are going to cowboy again. And the Saints
Oh,
you can't really make too much of the Saints. We don't really know what they are yet because Carolina's so bad.
yeah.
But I mean, they look good for what that's worth.
So if we had the little graphics up like college game day, all three of us like Dallas minus the 6 years, so you can go ahead and bet the rent money probably on New Orleans plus the
Yeah.
6. Yeah, we don't just throw out everything you saw about the Saints last week. I mean, they bludgeoned the JV football team in the Carolina Panthers. That's what that was. That was essentially a fourth preseason game for them. I mean, literally, there's nothing you can learn or take from that outside of just Carolina is they should be relegated. Carolina should be relegated. I'm not even talking to college football, Arena League. Give me the San Jose SaberCats or whatever. Get the Nashville Cats, the Iowa Barnstormers. Give me one of those teams because I think they can beat the Panthers right now. Yeah, but I do like Dallas minus the 6. Dak's coming off the contract. I think they're going to figure out some things offensively. We'll see what they do. I don't know if Ferguson's out, right? The tight end. I believe he got nicked
I
up.
thought I heard he was playing, but I'm not.
Okay,
He
well, we'll
might
see
still be
how
questionable.
limited he is. I do like him in that offense, and we'll see what the running game does with Zeke and Dowdell and everything. But yeah, I like Dallas's offense. They just have so many weapons. I'm going to take Dallas minus the 6.
Yeah, Ferguson is doubtful, so probably not. And
Okay.
New Orleans, can we throw the ball to Chris Olave? Everybody and their mother was getting touchdowns last week, and he had 11 yards. If he would have had 14 yards, I would have won my fantasy matchup against the guy who's not here today.
Tisk, 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 tisk. You lost to him in fantasy football. I want you to think about that for a second.
By 0.2 of a point.
Think about where your life is that you've lost to Chris.
In garbage time. In garbage time when Garrett Wilson shouldn't even been on the field.
That's sad stuff there. Well, speaking of garbage time, a team that'll see a lot of garbage time will be the first one up on my card here. The Carolina Panthers. They're at home. Good seats still available. I haven't checked this morning. In fact, you know what? Let's do it live right now while we're on the show because I saw a couple of sports shows go through this the other day, and there were Panthers tickets on various ticket apps that they were getting for like under $2. They had reached a point where the fees had actually cost more than the tickets. Scotty, you got anything going on tomorrow? Do you want to drive down to Charlotte and see a football game?
No, definitely not.
Well, when have you seen the Los Angeles Football Chargers in person before?
I've walked by the stadium. But yeah, nobody wants to see that game.
All right, so we can get cheapest tickets right now. Well, as I go to the camera. No, you can't see it. God damn it. All right, cheapest tickets right now. I found 2 in section 530, actually end zone, row 21. So a little bit up, but you can get in right now. 2 tickets, $14 each on StubHub. So good seats still available there. I like the Chargers. Their defense was woeful last year. You know that's something Jim Harbaugh is going to turn around. J.K. Dobbins, week 1's already, I think, making a case to be comeback player of the year, the way they've been running the ball there. I just think they're going to physically beat the hell out of this Panthers team. And there's already conversations around Charlotte and around the Carolinas about, do we need to sit Bryce Young? Is he regressing? Is he a bust? Those are never good conversations to have about your quarterback when we're literally in the second game of his second season in the league, that those are already starting to come out. It's just a bad team. And Dave Canales, his press conferences and stuff this week, maybe the most happy-go-lucky, energetic guy on the face of the earth. This is like when you start a bad job and you get really excited about that job at first, and then like you kind of watch a person break down mentally and physically as they go through this job. It'll be interesting to watch Dave Canales' press conferences during the weeks as he goes through all 17 weeks of this season. I guarantee you he's going to turn into Mr. Burns by the time this season's over, where he's at Ned Flanders right now. He's going to be Mr. Burns when it's all said and done. I'd like the Chargers to roll here. This is like it'll be a 2-touchdown victory.
Yeah, the Chargers should roll. Again, this line is weird, but I bet the under on this. Neither one is going to have an explosive offense as long as the Panthers don't just throw points away or put the Chargers at first and goal situations on turnovers and all that. Yeah, because that's what happened last week. I actually bet the under on the show for the Panthers and Saints, and yeah, like the Panthers' offense was so bad that they overhit.
Yeah,
I think they'll be a little more cautious. You're going to see probably just dinking dunks and running the ball a lot, really on both sides. But yeah, the Chargers, they're going to run the ball. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to be very explosive throwing the ball. If I had to pick a side, I pick Chargers -5, but I think the under is the better bet.
all right. And then the last one on my dance card here, we go to a Monday night's football at the Link, which I believe still has a jail inside there because Philadelphia fans are so well behaved. The Eagles hosting the Falcons. Philadelphia laying 6.5 points. Over under is 47.5. Monday 8:15 there on ESPN. Hey Scotty, you ever heard of Chicky and Pete's?
Have not.
It is a sports bar in and around the Philadelphia area, and one Conor McGregor was at Chicky and Pete's like a day or two ago, wearing an Eagles shirt, and I forget which location it was, but doing shots with Eagles fans. Not sure if Conor McGregor is going to be in attendance for this game, but Eagle fans are already some of the scariest, most ruthless people on the face of this earth. If there is a Falcon fan that dareth want to wear their apparel, because Kirk Cousins is your quarterback and he looks like me back there right now. We'll talk about that in a second. But if you want to start some shit with an Eagle fan, that's a bad idea. But if you want to start some shit with an Eagle fan and maybe Conor McGregor has his back, say what you will about him in the octagon, he's going to beat the hell out of a 37-year-old guy from Athens, Georgia, wearing a Kirk Cousins jersey if he wants to start some shit. So I'm just going to say, Falcon fans, you might want to lay extra low, just knowing that the notorious one is out there somewhere. I like Philadelphia big in this one, probably 10, 12 points, actually. Kirk Cousins looked terrible last week, and that's got to give that organization pause about his recovery from that Achilles. He just did not look like the same guy. He didn't look mobile. He didn't look fluid. That offense looked bad. He looked worse. I like Philadelphia to figure out some things here. I like them by 10 or 12 points. So easily the 6.5. I take the Eagles on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I actually have this one on my card too, but I took the total, not the side. Everything you just said about Kirk is true. He looked awful. This is a Monday night game. Although as of late, he's been a little better in primetime games, but still not great. The only reason why I didn't bet the Eagles -6.5 is I can see like a backdoor cover, because one thing we know about Kirk is garbage time is Kirky time. He can look like shit
Yes.
for 3 quarters, and then they get down by 20 points, and all of a sudden he's putting up touchdowns. But yeah, so on my card, like I said, I have this game too. I'm going with the under 47.5. I know the Eagles put up a lot of points last week, but they were still sloppy. Saquon was just running in touchdowns that kind of saved them. The Falcons' defense has improved. They brought some guys in, Judon, and the safety was Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
So yeah, primetime games tend to hit the under anyways. So I can see this kind of being a more physical game than maybe we think. And yeah, Kirk throws some interceptions. Jalen Hurts still looks a little off. Primetime game, maybe under 47.5.
Boom. All right. And next up on your card here, you got the Battle of the R's. That sounds bad. Ravens hosting the Raiders. Hey, I didn't say hard R. I didn't say that. Which I can say that. Ravens and Raiders.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's not do this. Ravens and Raiders. Baltimore laying the 8.5 points, over under 41.5 there in Baltimore. Which, by the way, Baltimore can be a scary place, especially with the west side of the city. Now bring Raider fans into Baltimore. If you want to redo the Wire and bring the Wire back, you should have Raider fan in Baltimore. They should start filming that right now. Because Raider fan will lay waste to anything in its wake. So, yeah, That'll be interesting to see. But you're up, Scotty.
Yeah, I hate to take this because, well, for one, you and Chris both took all favorites, and I'm sure this is a very public pick here, but the Ravens minus 8.5. Minshew for the Raiders, I thought he was going to look a little better. He was didn't really go down the field at all. He wasn't finding Devontae Adams enough for me or my fantasy team. But yeah, the Ravens, the way they lost, Lamar Jackson missed a couple throws on that last drive. They very easily could have won that game and then likely stepping on the line at the end. I'm sure they're pissed off. Lamar's pissed off. They're going to take it out on the Raiders. And I do have a stat. Jim Harbaugh is 22-11 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2. That is the best by a coach in the NFL. So he's going to have these guys ready to come out. They're just going to run it down their throat. Lamar is going to probably put on a show. Give me the Ravens minus the points.
And hopefully Isaiah Likely can keep his toe in the end zone this week as well. So yeah, I like Baltimore minus the 8.5 there as well. All right. Next up on your card here is we have the Rams at the Cardinals. If I can pull that up without kicking myself out. There we go. Rams at the Cardinals. And is that right? The line is now -1?
Yeah.
Wow.
And just as you're confused, that's why I'm going with the Rams. I'm betting money line, but I'll take the point here for the podcast. The Rams are just a better team than Arizona. I actually think Arizona was a little underrated going into the year, but now it seems like we're underrating the Rams here. The Cardinals, they kept it close against Buffalo, but they had a fumble recovery early. They had a punt return for a touchdown. The offense didn't do much at all in the second half. So I think the Rams can kind of slow them down. The Rams, if they get the ball first in overtime at Detroit, they very well might win that game. I just think we're overlooking the Rams. I know they got some injuries, but they're getting one of their tackles. I forget his name. They're getting him back. So that should help out a lot. Puka's not there, but, this is McVay. He's going to find out the way to get some points on the board. And McVay is 12-2-1 all time against the spread against Arizona. And Kyler Murray is 1-8 straight up against the Rams and 1-7-1 against the spread.
Ooh.
So the Rams are the better team. All the trends are pointing towards the Rams. Give me the Rams.
I have done zero research into this game whatsoever. I feel like Chris Green with my level of unpreparedness for this particular game. That being said, I like the over on this one. I feel like it's always interesting when these two teams get together. I feel like there could be some points, even though without Puka. We saw Greg Dortch actually, I think, led the Cardinals in receiving last week. So we'll see what Kyler does. By the way, I love it when Kyler is running around and running for dear life out there. It literally looks like a toddler that's like, you ever like chase like a nephew or something like that, like they steal your keys or something and you're running around like chasing them. That's what Kyler Murray looks like when he's running around the line and trying to evade people. It's like a small child that's got something he shouldn't have and you're trying to take it away from them. That's what that is. But yeah. I like the over on this one.
You're like, how is he running that fast? He has like the smallest legs in the world. How is he doing that?
It's just literally, sometimes I look at him like, you're going to kill him when you hit him. He's so little. All right. And that being said, he could probably, I know the A's have his rights. He could probably go suit up right now for the Chicago White Sox and probably lead them in batting average the way that team's playing. So, that baseball career is always there if he wants to force a trade to the Windy City. All right. And so that it completes our NFL picks here. And then we have our underdog. So last week, our dog came up one short, I believe, right? I forgot. I had the graphic there, and I don't think I imported it.
Yeah, we keep getting to the last game. Last week, it was my fault. Well, it was Antonio Pierce's fault, but the Raiders. You're 4th and 1 at your own 40 with I think it was 5 minutes left, and I forgot where I saw that, but that was the first time in 20 years, maybe ever, that somebody's punted in that situation.
Yeah, that was.
You can't trust your defense that much. Yeah, 4th and 1, you can't get a yard. You're not going to win the game if you can't convert on 4th and 1, anyways. But yeah.
Well, that killed it. then my Wyoming Cowboys just not showing up against Arizona State last week. The week before that killed that parlay. So we'll see how we do as I accidentally punched this one up as I was bringing it in. But we'll start off with me. Now I got this one earlier in the week. Money is starting to move the line, but I got it at like 560, 580, whatever it was. It's now come down to 450. This would obviously be a big upset. I feel like people don't believe in Boston College just because Florida State is so bad and they're devaluing that Florida State win. Listen, Bill O'Brien is a hell of a head coach, especially at the college level. He's going to scheme. He's going to get things right. And this BC team is playing tough. They're playing physical. Missouri has played the Little Sisters of the Poor so far. Luther Burden's barely played. The quarterbacks have barely played. They haven't been tested yet. And yes, they're at home. Farrell Field's going to be rocking. They just announced the big renovations they're going to be doing there. This sets up perfectly to have that letdown with a tough physical Boston College team coming in. And Thomas Castellanos is like the best quarterback that no one's like really talking about or looking at just because he plays for BC. But he's going to run around. He's going to keep them alive, make plays with his feet. I like Boston College to go into SEC country, which this team really isn't an SEC team, but that's a story for another day. I like Boston College to go into there and get the W. As Grandpa Simpson said, it will be a cold day in hell before I recognize Missouri. BC money line.
Yeah, I have no clue on this one. Missouri is one of those teams I never watch unless they're in like a primetime game. So I couldn't really tell you much about them at all. I know they've played two nobodies, but they got two shutouts. But yeah, I mean, I guess Boston College could pull it off, but I don't know. I feel like maybe Missouri they have to have a good defense. You hit two shutouts no matter who you're playing. But I'm staying away with this one. But I guess Boston College could pull it off. I don't know. I haven't watched Missouri yet.
Let me go back and look at the mighty Missouri Tigers and who they've beaten so far. They've taken out
Murray State and Buffalo.
Yeah, Frank Beaver's old school, Murray State, and then the Buffalo Bulls. A very, very bad MAC team who Buffalo, I think, is a slight dog, very slight dog at home this week to UMass. That game's almost a pick 'em, so they'll tell you everything you need to know about Buffalo and Murray State's FCS team, and not a very good FCS team. So I don't think we know much of anything about Missouri. So yeah, I like BC. Next up, UCF and TCU. You're going all in on the Knights, it looks like.
Yeah, cheating a little bit when I already bet UCF +2 for our picks, but I really didn't like a whole lot of underdogs this week. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I feel pretty good about UCF. Just going there, taking care of business against TCU.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't know why the line just feels awful on this one. I feel like UCF's a better team. I feel like they should be the favorite here. I feel like you're getting great value if you can get in right now on UCF plus a 115 on that one. So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Well, yeah, if you look at the odds to win the Big 12, like UCF has much better odds than TCU. I guess it's just that home field advantage they think is going to make the difference, but I don't see it.
And then Chris mailed in his pick this week, the Tennessee Football Titans taking on the New York Football Jets there. And he's got the Titans money line here. Now, this is interesting. I will say, I'm not sure what his thought process was. The spread on this right now, as I look at it live, is Tennessee plus 3.5 points. Over under is 41.5. Jets obviously did not look that great last week against San Francisco on Monday Night Football. Now you have to fly back across country to New York and then fly down to Nashville. A lot of travel on a short week. We'll see how tired those legs are. Maybe that sets up a chance to pull something off. Will Levis looked just outright awful last week for Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill is still out there. They might want to give him a phone call. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, Chris has got the Titans, the spring of the upset here and dropping the Jets to 0-2. Now, that would be something for the New York call-in shows if they go to 0-2 in Aaron Rodgers' return.
Yeah, I actually don't hate this pick. I bet the Titans. I got it at 4 yesterday, +4. But yeah, the Jets looked awful. The Titans were the better team against the Bears. Will Levis just gave the game away. But the defense pitched a shutout. They didn't
Yeah.
give out. If you want to count the 2-point conversion, I don't count that. But the defense gave up 0 points. Will Levis can't be that bad again. I think he's got some potential to be. I don't want to say a good quarterback, but he could be a good backup or like a serviceable starter if he could just stop doing dumb shit. But
Well,
yeah,
this has got to
if he does that,
he eats whole bananas. So I don't know if he's going to stop doing dumb shit. He puts
well, he eats
mayonnaise in
whole
his-
bananas and mayonnaise in his coffee. Yeah.
So
And he
I don't know
lost
if
his
you
hot
can,
girlfriend.
she was, yeah. Oh boy. Shannon Sharp might give her a phone call. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, so I don't know if we can count on him to stop doing dumb shit. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there.
And that's why I wouldn't necessarily feel good about them pulling the upset, but I think they can keep it close. Well, Levis probably will do something stupid to lose the game for him, though.
All right, then I
But
plug these.
it's worth a shot as an underdog pick.
Yeah, I mean, look, I got the long shot today from an odd standpoint here. So I'll plug these bad boys into ESPN Bet here. They gave me 30-34 on those odds there, which that, you know what? When I look at 30-34, I feel like, if the Earth is still here when that happens, I feel like we look at it and it's like, oh, this was a terrible year. An asteroid hit and there was like World War 17 or something like that. We'll all be dead by then. But good luck to you people in 30-34. I'm sure things will be quite dystopian. But that being said, yeah. What does $100 payout on this, Scotty?
$3,034.
Boom, boom, boom. $3,034 there. So.
Maybe the year 3034, this will be in the algorithm. We'll get some views.
There we go.
That's when we'll blow up. That's when we're gonna blow up. Not literally, but
AI.
well, maybe.
We'll just have AI, Leon and Scotty and Chris here. Oops, I hit the wrong button there. But you know what? We're going to close out on this anyway. We get an up close and personal view of you there, Scotty.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get ready to get on out of here. Maybe the algorithm will pick us up at that point when we're, all dead for a long time. Maybe we'll have AI, Scotty and Leon, doing those picks. But we'll put our underdog parlay card up on there. Oh, and real quick before we get out of here, what's the updated standings?
You had to bring that up, didn't you? Let's see. Let me share my screen here.
Etsy pads and looks for a screen. Make sure, by the way, if you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X, TikTok, all that stuff. This show every Saturday morning right here where you're watching it. Of course, podcasts on Apple and Spotify and everywhere else as well. But this show, doing lines every Saturday morning, just a video exclusive, putting the lines out there for the day. And, of course, our regular Let's Not Do This podcast every Thursday, unless there's something special we have to move it. But Thursday, 6:45 p.m. And then our lines here. Our standings here.
I haven't changed the formula to get the totals yet, but I know our records. So
okay, as we do a little live producing on the fly there, we'll do it live.
All right. Now we're good.
Okay.
So, yeah. Thursday, Friday games.
Give me a little zoom in here if you can for the viewers at home here.
I don't have a mouse either.
Oh well,
I'm zooming in.
There we go. Some of us have old man eyes. All right, so the standings here.
So yeah, Thursday, Friday games. I went 1-1 because Texas State blew it once again. Chris went 2-0 on his picks, and you went 0-2.
Treading backwards.
So we broke even.
5-10.
I'm 4-12. I'm 4-12. I am 3-3 in NFL. Chris is 3-2-1 in NFL.
And I am not very good in the National Football League.
You're the best one out of college football. You're almost at 500 here.
Yeah. So
yeah,
NFL
it's not been pretty.
No. Our records look like what the Commanders will probably be going into Week 17 right now, except for Chris. That's 6-9-1. I don't really see him there, but they'll probably be around that 4-12, 5-1 mark. But yeah, not pretty. So
NFL is my thing, so that will help me a little bit. But I got to start winning at some point on some college picks.
Slow start out of the gates. We'll get going. We're like the Cowboys They before their last Super Bowl win. They started off 0-2. Emmitt Smith was holding out. They lose to Buffalo. They go 0-2. They come back, win Super Bowl. That was their last Super Bowl win. Many people were not on this earth born then the last time that happened. But that's what I'm gonna say is gonna work out, at least for me, and maybe for you, Chris. He's just gonna fade.
Yeah, probably. I'm getting better. Maybe not in college. 1-9 is kind of hard to come back from. But yeah, maybe I can get to 500 by the playoffs.
All right. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's doing lines for September the 14th. Like I said, find us right back here Thursday night, 6:45 p.m. for the Let's Not Do This podcast. We'll be back here next Saturday as well at 9 for doing lines. Scotty, send us home.
All right.